Abandoned at 17 due to infertility. Discover how the Alpha King's choice changed her life forever. Emma Brooks stood in the familiar kitchen, the scent of pancakes swirling in the air. But all she could taste was the bitter sting of her own vanished dreams. In a town where every young woman's worth seemed tethered to her ability to bear children, Emma felt like a ghost in her own skin. The news of her infertility shattered her. It was a colossal weight that crushed any flicker of excitement in her heart, the same heart that once fluttered with dreams of motherhood, like the bright blossoms of springtime. She could almost hear the whispers, echoing like a chorus, "Poor Emma, she can't even have babies." Isolation snuck in, a stealthy shadow creeping through her life. Her mother, overwhelmed by the shame of it all, had retreated into her own world, her love replaced by silence. Emma was left to navigate the tight-knit community alone, surrounded by girls who would soon be mothers and fulfill their destinies. Each pregnancy announcement swept through town like a hurricane, reminding Emma of what she'd never have. But then came the diner. The clattering of plates and the chatter of customers became Emma's refuge. Here she served breakfast to familiar faces, her smile a mask for the aching loneliness beneath. It was there that she met Jesse, a rugged veteran with a haunted gaze. He wore his past on his sleeve, his scars a testament to battles both seen and unseen. In the dim light of the diner they found a connection, sharing laughter amid their shared pain. And through his gentle prodding, Emma picked up a paintbrush, awakening a talent she thought she'd lost forever. "Just pour your heart onto the canvas, Emma," he'd say, his voice steady and encouraging. So she did. Each flick of her brush breathed life into her sadness, allowing colors to burst forth like the hope she longed to feel. But the whispers of the town grew louder, judgment lurking like a watching hawk, ready to swoop down at any sign of vulnerability. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Then came the accident. The sharp clang of metal, the scream of tires on asphalt. Jesse hurt just when hope was at its peak. Emma's heart raced, a painful rhythm sinking to the chaos. As she grappled with the stigma of her infertility, the whispers hollowed out her resolve. Days passed and she paint-stained her hands, preparing for the public unveiling of her mural, a testament to resilience, a celebration of womanhood unbound by societal chains. The community center loomed before her, a place of judgment and potential acceptance. But as doubts clawed at her heart, she realized Jesse was missing. The night before her unveiling, he vanished without a word. Staring at her empty canvas, Emma felt the weight of expectations crushing her spirit. Could she reclaim her narrative alone? Would the world designed to stifle her finally see the beauty of transformation born from pain? A chill ran through her, the eerie silence echoing every fear she harbored. She took a deep breath, tears brimming in her eyes, the question lingering like a whisper on the wind. Could she still make them see her worth, with or without Jesse by her side? Emma held her breath, the canvas taunting her with blankness. Each second that passed felt like an eternity. She remembered the feeling of the brush in her hand, the way it glided against the surface, leaving vivid colors in its wake. But today all she could do was stand frozen, fear wedged firmly in her throat. With Jesse gone, the sparks of inspiration seemed extinguished. She stepped back, wiping tears from her cheeks. How could she paint without him? How could she turn her pain into something beautiful without the one person who believed in her? The echoes of the town's judgment pounded in her ears, a relentless reminder of the shame she had tried to shrug off. But she had a choice to make. The thought struck like lightning. She picked up her brush, her grip trembling but resolute. If this mural was meant to be her voice, it would be raw, unfiltered. It would reflect her sorrow, her struggle, and yes, even her anger at the cruel hand fate had dealt her. With each stroke, she poured her heart into the canvas, vivid colors clashing and blending, each hue representing the emotions she had buried deep. As the hours passed, the mural took form. Swirls of deep blues and angry reds contrasted with bright yellows that whispered of hope. The community center around her became her world as she lost herself and her fears in the rhythm of the brush against the canvas. She felt Jesse's presence through the paint, urging her on even as he remained absent. But the murmurs from the townspeople stood on the sidelines like wolves watching, waiting. They would soon come to see her work, to pass judgment, to either applaud or condemn. It was a weight that felt unbearably heavy, but something inside her sparked. Maybe they'd see her for who she truly was, a woman with dreams beyond motherhood, a soul bursting with creativity, yearning for expression. That evening, a gentle knock at the door pulled her from her thoughts. It was Mrs. Carter, her neighbor, an elder with kind eyes and a gentle voice. "Emma dear, can I come in?" Emma wiped at the paint on her hands before opening the door. She could see concern in Mrs. Carter's gaze, but also a hint of admiration. "I heard you're unveiling your mural tomorrow," the older woman said softly. "I wanted to bring you some flowers as a good luck charm." Emma accepted the bouquet, its vibrant colors a reminder of the life waiting to burst forth again. Mrs. Carter stepped closer, peering at the mural with a flicker of apprehension. "You're going to make them see you, dear. You are worthy of being seen." A chill wrapped around Emma's heart, anticipation edging on anxiety. Could her mural truly break through the walls of their judgments? Would it resonate beyond their narrow views? The evening wore on, filled with unease and growing hope. Finally, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she closed her eyes and imagined the future. What if her story could change things? What if she could inspire others like her to find their voices too? As she lay in bed that night, her heart raced not with fear, but with anticipation. Tomorrow was not just about revealing a mural. It was the dawn of reclaiming her narrative. Would she rise to the occasion? The question lingered in the air like a drumroll that barely contained energy just before the storm. But what would happen if the town didn't just see her pain but embraced her strength? She found herself wishing for Jesse, hoping he'd be there by her side to witness the moment. As sleep finally claimed her, one thought echoed in her mind. One act of courage could ignite a revolution. Emma was ready to paint her truth. But when the sun rose the next day, would it be enough? Emma awoke to the morning light spilling through her window, bathing the room in a soft yellow glow. The weight of the day ahead pressed down on her. She sat up, her heart thumping in anticipation, and replayed the events of the evening in her mind. The mural awaited her, a promise of transformation. Today was a chance to speak her truth, to reclaim the narrative that had slipped from her grasp. With each breath, she filled her lungs with courage. The whispers of fear faded, replaced by the rhythm of determination. She dressed quickly, aware that time was slipping away, and pulled her hair into a loose braid. As she looked in the mirror, she hardly recognized the woman staring back at her. It was a mix of vulnerability and strength, tender yet fierce. After a hurried breakfast, she grabbed her brushes, the vivid palette of colors whispering to her like old friends. Walking towards the community center, the streets felt alive, full of the morning sun and tentative excitement. But with each step, the memories of Jesse clawed at her, his laughter ringing in her ears, his unwavering belief in her talent. When she arrived, the center was already bustling. Townspeople gathered outside, their murmurs wrapping around her like a heavy cloak. Emma's stomach twisted with anxiety. Would they understand her? Would they accept her story? She took a deep breath, anchoring herself in the moment as Emma stepped inside. The vastness of the room hugged her with familiarity. The blank wall called to her, the nearly finished mural vivid against it, a riot of colors swirling with meaning. She stood in front of it, feeling the pulse of her emotions coursing through every brushstroke. This wasn't just a painting, it was her heartbeat. The clock's ticking felt deafening as the minutes crawled toward the unveiling. She cast glances toward the door, each creak making her stomach knot tighter. People began to file in, faces filled with curiosity. Mrs. Carter was among the first, offering a warm smile that melted Emma's nerves momentarily. "Remember, dear, this is your moment," she whispered, the reassurance settling over Emma like a warm blanket. More and more townsfolk shuffled in, sharing whispers, exchanging glances, their expressions shifting from skeptical to intrigued. There was a hushed anticipation that filled the air, and Emma felt the weight of their eyes on her, each gaze a blend of expectation and uncertainty. Finally, the room fell silent, the gaze of the crowd heavy and expectant. Emma's heart raced. With shaky hands, she reached for the curtain that had shrouded her work. She could feel her voice wavering, but she refused to back down. As she pulled the curtain away, a collective gasp filled the air. The mural burst forth in brilliant colors, alive with emotion, every stroke transporting her pain and tenacity into the open. There it was, her truth painted across the wall for all to see. And then the murmurs began again. But this time they were different. She caught glimpses of awe, of recognition. It was changing, each moment felt like a heartbeat, a leap towards understanding. But just as hope began to swell within her, the door swung open with a force that rattled the silent AI, or did I in walked a figure familiar yet fraught with tension. It was Jesse's brother, a shadow of the bond they once shared, radiating resentment and questions. Emma's heart sank. What was he doing here? What are you trying to prove? He demanded, his voice a dagger aimed directly at her courage. A chill washed over the room, thick with tension. Emma felt her voice quake under the weight of unspoken fears. But this was not just about her anymore. Would she stand strong and face the turmoil? Or would this moment of her truth be overshadowed by lingering shadows of the past? The crowd held its breath, waiting for her response, a pivotal moment trembling on the edge of revelation. Emma steadied her breath, ready to navigate the storm that had just rolled in. Emma's pulse quickened. She could sense every eye in the room heavy upon her, the atmosphere thickening with unspoken tension. Jesse's brother stood at the doorway, a tightness in his jaw that mirrored the knot in her stomach. What could she say to ease the storm brewing between them? Or would her vulnerable canvas collapse under the fierce winds of his anger? I'm trying to tell our story, Emma replied, her voice wavering but not relinquishing its thread of resolve. The murmurs quieted as she squared her shoulders, focusing on the art behind her. This mural, it's for everyone who has felt lost. It's about hope, understanding, and healing. His eyes narrowed, and the crowd shifted uneasily. Healing? Is that what you call it? There was a bite to his tone, a bitterness that threatened to unravel her newfound strength. You paint this lovely picture of Jesse's life, but you forget the pain it left behind. The mess that you caused. Her heart felt like it was splintering. She gripped the edge of a nearby table, trying to anchor herself amidst the storm inside her chest. I never meant to hurt him, she said, the tremors in her voice a reflection of her swirling emotions. He inspired this, he believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. This mural is a tribute to his memory, to show the world that there is beauty even in the darkest times. The room sighed collectively, reactions flickering from doubt to understanding. But Jesse's brother remained unmoved, crossing his arms defensively. You think a pretty painting will change what happened? You think you can sweep everything under the rug with a splash of color? His anger cracked like thunder, echoing against the walls. Emma felt tears threaten to spill down her cheeks, but she refused to bow to despair. Instead, she remembered Jesse's laughter, his unwavering spirit. This wasn't just about him. This was about her too. It's not just a painting. It's my healing, my path forward. We all carry scars, but they can lead us to something beautiful if we let them. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd, and for a moment, it felt as if she had captured their hearts. But Jesse's brother's eyes saw right through her. Beautiful? Beauty ain't enough to erase the pain, he shot back. You wear your heart on your sleeve. But where does that leave those of us who have to live with the aftermath? Emma inhaled deeply, searching for the right words, wishing for a bridge that would narrow the rift between them. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to be angry. I just want to transform that pain into something that doesn't silence us, that connects us. Let us honor him together. In that moment, she realized they both shared a deep ache, a bond forged through loss. The crowd was silent again, faces catching Emma's fragile determination. She could see confusion shift to solidarity. Then Jesse's brother faltered, his defiance flickering just for a moment. And if I can't forgive? The vulnerability in his voice hit like a loaded arrow. Emma's heart wavered, not knowing if this was a tipping point toward healing or more strife. Forgiveness doesn't happen overnight. But we can start by sharing our stories, holding each other accountable, and remembering the light Jesse brought to our lives. As the tension in the air began to shift again, Emma locked eyes with the brother, searching for a glimmer of compassion beneath the hurt. But just then, the sound of a thunderous clap broke the moment, a sudden storm outside. Pouring rain against the windows, mirroring the turmoil within, the crowd murmured, whispers bubbling with uncertainty once more. Emma's heart raced. If we unravel this pain together, maybe, just maybe, we can find our way back to hope. Instead of leaving it at that, Emma took a step forward, unsure of what came next. Perhaps in this moment, a new chapter could begin, but would it bridge the rift or tear them further apart? As the rain fell, the future hung like a curtain, waiting for someone to part it. Would it be her? Emma stood there, her body rigid with tension, as the storm outside raged on. The sound of rain striking the glass was matched only by the pounding of her heart. She could feel the weight of the crowd's gaze, a mixture of sympathy and unease. What had started as her moment of triumph had turned into a battlefield for emotions no one wanted to confront. Jesse's brother took a step closer, the rain casting shadows across his face. "You want us to believe art can heal?" he said, a strange incredulity in his voice. "What kind of healing leaves the scars behind?" "It's not about forgetting," Emma said, her voice steadier now, tinged with fierce tenderness. "It's about remembering him in a way that honors all of us who loved him." Scars tell stories too. For a heartbeat, she thought she saw something soften in his gaze, but it was fleeting. The grief was too palpable, like a thick fog that refused to lift. "What do you know about grief? You weren't the one who lost him. You weren't there." The bitterness returned, sharper than before. "Maybe not. But I loved him." The truth burst forth from her lips, nearly drowning her in its intensity. The crowd reacted in surprise, and she pressed on more fervently now. "I loved him even when I lost who I was in the process. This mural isn't just for you. It's for everyone who feels broken, lost, or abandoned." As the words left her mouth, the image of Jesse's smile flickered through her mind like a fading light. He was kind, optimistic, always finding joy in the little things. This mural was meant to capture that essence, to remind others that light can break through even the densest clouds. I just don't understand how you could paint over the hurt with pretty colors," Jesse's brother muttered, more to himself than to her. Emma took a brave step forward, crossing the space between them, feeling the gravity of their shared pain. "What if we worked together? What if we painted Jesse's story as a family, all of us? The darkness, the pain, the joy, everything?" The suggestion hung in the air, heavy yet hopeful. A flicker of something in his expression hinted at curiosity mixed with doubt. "You want to work with me?" "Of course. We both loved him. When we share what we feel, we can start to heal," she replied, her voice steady despite her quivering insides. "But what if you don't want to paint the truth?" His brow furrowed, and the tension snapped like a taut string. "Then how do we honor him? What does truth look like for you?" Emma's question was raw, an open invitation that resonated with their precarious connection. He looked past her, his expression far away. The sound of thunder echoed through the room, matching the turmoil on his face. "It looks like heartache, it looks like regret, it looks like anger." His voice dropped as if he were revealing a secret he'd held for too long. Around them, people held their breath, the silence stretching thin. Emma had one chance to bridge the gap. "Share those feelings with me. We can express the hurt, the love, and everything in between together. That's what makes art real." Slowly, Jesse's brother blinked and looked down, as if considering her offer. "You really think it could help it one to erase what happened, but we can turn it into something that honors him and helps us too." She felt a warmth rise within her, a flicker of hope against the storm outside. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across his face. "But what if it doesn't work?" "Then at least we tried," Emma whispered, feeling a binding thread beginning to weave between them as their eyes locked. The rain poured harder, the world outside indistinct, but within that moment, a fragile bridge began to form. They were standing on the edge of something transformative. What could they create together? Would this be the beginning of healing, or would they both drown in the depths of their past? Emma held her breath, waiting for his response, the weight of the future pressing down like the thickening storm outside. Something shifted in Jesse's brother's gaze, and for the first time since the storm began, Emma dared to hope. "All right," he said softly, almost hesitantly. "Maybe we can try. But I don't promise it will be easy." "I wouldn't expect it to be," Emma replied, feeling the tension in her shoulders relax just a bit. They both stood in the aftermath of a shared grief, a painful truth swirling around them like the storm outside. Then what do we do? He asked, looking uncertain. But there was a spark of willingness hidden beneath that doubt. Let us start with what Jesse loved, everything he found beautiful. We can paint a journey that captures his laughter, his dreams, and yes, the pain too. Emma's heart raced as she spoke, her dreams spilling over into the space between them. And that includes the bad parts? The ones that make you want to scream? He asked, a fire igniting in his voice. Yes, absolutely. We'll give it all a voice. It's not about prettifying everything. The cracks make us human. They make the picture worth looking at. Emma felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. What she had initially feared was becoming a source of strength. His eyes narrowed. Fine. But you have to promise not to run away when it gets too hard. I promise, Emma said, sealing her vow with a quiet intensity. Just then, a bolt of lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating both of their faces. The room echoed with thunder, mirroring their hearts beating in sync for the first time in that small moment of connection. Okay, let us do this, he said, taking a deep breath, the walls around him seeming to lower just a fraction. Let us meet tomorrow. I'll bring some paint supplies and we can find a space where we can create, Emma suggested, the idea of collaboration filling her with excited energy. Sounds good, Jesse's brother said, a hint of determination threading through his voice. But know that I'm not afraid to dig deep. I wouldn't have it any other way. She smiled, feeling the crushing weight of despair begin to lift, just slightly. As they began to step back, the crowd, which had been both silent and watchful, slowly started to whisper among themselves. Emma could feel their collective response, a mix of curiosity and tentative support filling the air. Did you really think this was going to work? A woman from the back called out, her voice cautious but hopeful. We're going to find out, Emma replied, surprising even herself with the certainty in her tone. And while we do, we need everyone's stories. We can't just paint for ourselves but for all of us who loved him. With that, Jesse's brother nodded resolutely. They stepped out of the moment, only to find the storm starting to ease outside, the clouds slowly parting, revealing a shy glimpse of moonlight. As Emma walked home, she felt a change within her. The dread that had once knotted her insides was now mingled with anticipation. What kind of truths would they reveal? Would they uncover shared pain or unexpected healing? When she returned to her small apartment, brushes and colors scattered around, Emma sat in silence, holding a deep breath. She was ready to tackle whatever would come next together. But just as she prepared to start making her plans, her phone buzzed. A message popped up from Jesse's brother, unexpected and simple. Are you sure we're ready for this? Emma looked out at the now glimmering raindrops on her window, contemplating the depths they were about to explore. Was she ready? She took a moment before replying. What if this journey was just the beginning of something much larger than either of them anticipated? Ready or not, we'll face it together, she typed back, a sense of resilience swelling inside her. What stories would emerge from the depths of their shared grief? The next day dawned with a hesitant kind of brightness. The storm had passed, leaving behind a fresh smell in the air, and a sense of hope threading through Emma's thoughts. She awoke early, anticipation buzzing deep inside her. Today was important, a turning point she could feel down to her bones. After a quick breakfast, she gathered her supplies. Brushes, paint, canvases, even a few old photos of Jesse she had tucked away in a box. As she sorted through the memories, each image jolted her with laughter and tears. Would they be able to turn that pain into something beautiful? She hoped so. When she arrived at the small park they'd agreed on, Emma took a moment to breathe in the serene surroundings. The trees were swaying gently, and the sun shone gloriously, almost like an omen of what was to come. She spotted Jesse's brother sitting on a bench, his posture tense. He was fidgeting, tapping his fingers nervously against his thigh. Emma approached slowly, smiling in encouragement. Hey, she said softly. You ready to get started? He looked up, a mixture of apprehension and determination in his gaze. Think so. Just it's all a bit much, isn't it? Emma nodded. It is. But remember, we're going to take it step by step. There's no rush. But can we? Can we really talk about the hard stuff? The things that hurt? He looked at her with a vulnerability that struck her in a way she hadn't expected. Yes, we can. That's the whole point, right? To feel it all. The good, the bad, everything in between. They set up an easel and spread the colors across the grass, transforming the serene park into a canvas of potential. The world around them faded as they began to work, colors intermixed with their laughter and shared stories. First it was simple. They painted Jesse's smile vibrant and carefree, splashing yellow and orange across the canvas. They talked about the silly things he did, the adventures they had shared, and gradually the laughter fell away, giving birth to heavier topics. Do you remember when he was so convinced he could climb that tree at school? Emma said, her voice catching. He thought he was invincible. Yes, and he ended up falling into that puddle. God. His face when he realized he was soaked. Jesse's brother chuckled, but Emma could see a hint of sadness creeping in. Maybe we should paint the puddle too. The fall, she suggested, her heart pounding. It was a moment of freedom but also a time when he still didn't understand how fragile life could be. Jesse's brother considered her words, and after a brief silence, he nodded. You're right. It's part of who he was. As they dug deeper, the laughter turned to silence. The colors on their canvases darkened, and the air thickened with unspoken fears. They transformed the funny memories into more profound symbols of loss, a stark shadow among the light, a dark corner where joy collided with pain. Emma felt the tears pool in her eyes as she stared at the creation unfolding between them. Every brushstroke represented a piece of their hearts, raw and exposed. Sometimes Jesse's brother whispered, I think about all the things we didn't get to do with him. Time stolen. Me too, Emma breathed. But maybe through this we can still honor him. His story doesn't end here. With those words they both knew something had shifted. They were no longer merely capturing memories. They were beginning to understand how to carry the weight of grief, weaving it into a fabric of resilience. Just then her phone buzzed again. A new message from Jesse's brother lit up the screen. I have something to share with you. Meet me at the old shack in the woods? Emma's heart raced. What did he have to tell her? Would it drag them deeper into the pain, or pull them into unexpected hope? She glanced at the canvas, illuminated by the sun and glossed with tears. She wasn't sure what it all meant yet, but she couldn't deny the tugging in her chest. We're in this together, she whispered to herself, ready to uncover whatever awaited them next. Emma's heart pounded as she made her way toward the woods. The message had sent a ripple of unease coursing through her, yet beneath that lay a flicker of anticipation. What truth was Jesse's brother about to reveal? The sunlight filtering through the branches seemed almost to guide her as she walked, the familiar path now feeling charged with mystery as she approached the old shack. Nostalgia washed over her. This was a place of childhood memories, a fortress where laughter echoed, a safe haven where they dreamed of the future, unaware of the shadows that would one day loom over them. She hesitated at the door, feeling a swell of emotions pressing against her chest. Taking a deep breath, she pushed it open. Inside, the shack was just as she remembered. Walls covered in peeling paint, dust motes dancing in the soft light. Jesse's brother stood in the center, looking more serious than she had ever seen him. He held something tightly in his hands. Hey, thanks for coming, he said, his voice steady but laced with tension. Of course, Emma replied, forcing a smile, but her stomach churned. What's on your mind? He took a moment before unfolding his hands to reveal a small, weathered notebook. This was Jesse's. I found it while cleaning out his things. Emma reached for it, her fingers brushing against the frayed edges. May I? He nodded, and she opened it gently. The pages were filled with Jesse's handwriting, thoughts, doodles, fragments of poetry. As she scanned the words, the world around her faded away. His words were filled with dreams and fears, the hopes of a boy teetering on the edge of adulthood. This is beautiful, she murmured. It feels like he's here talking to us. I thought so too, Jesse's brother replied. But there's one part, one page I don't understand. He pointed to a section filled with scribbles, the ink slightly smudged as if it had been written in haste. It's about making choices. About leaving things behind. Emma's heart quickened. She flipped further back and found something even more alarming. A list of goals, dreams, and at the bottom a line that read, What if I'm never enough? She swallowed hard, realizing just how deeply Jesse had struggled under the surface. Why didn't he share this with us? She whispered, her voice cracking. Maybe he thought we wouldn't understand, or worse, wouldn't care, he said, his eyes glistening. But now I can't help but think maybe he felt trapped. Like there was so much he wanted to say but couldn't. Emma felt a lump in her throat, anger and sorrow intertwining. We could have helped him. We could have been there for him. A heavy silence settled between them, the weight of regret palpable. But then Jesse's brother took a deep breath, as if resolving to change the narrative. What if we use this? He asked, a hint of determination sparking in his eyes. What if we share his words? Let everyone know he mattered? That his struggles matter? Emma looked from the notebook to his earnest face. You mean honor him by sharing his story? Yes. It's a way to connect with others who might be feeling the same way. We could start a community. Raise awareness about mental health, about struggles nobody talks about. Her heart began to race, excitement battling with grief. Jesse would love that. He always wanted to help people. Exactly. Jesse's brother replied, a flicker of hope igniting in his voice. We can ensure Jesse's voice is heard. As they stood there, the past melding with a potentially vibrant future, a realization began to unfold. In this moment of shared pain, they could transform grief into courage, loss into legacy. They were not alone. But even as the idea took root, Emma felt a gnawing question linger in her mind. What else had Jesse hidden away? And what new discoveries awaited them as they unearthed his legacy? With that thought settling deep within, she dared to ask, what if sharing his story leads us to uncover more truths about who he really was? And as they exchanged a look, an unspoken understanding passed between them, a promise to dive deeper. Together they would face the unknown, armed with Jesse's words as their guide. The weight of Jesse's notebook lingered in Emma's hands, its pages feeling both fragile and monumental. As memories and hopes swirled around them, a sense of urgency filled the air. This was more than just about remembering Jesse, it was about understanding him, truly understanding the battles he fought in silence. Jesse's brother paced the cramped shack, the floorboards creaking under his weight. We need a plan, he said, his eyes bright with determination. If we want to start something meaningful, we have to begin right away. What do you have in mind? Emma asked, her palms still trembling against the notebook. First, we can gather a few people who are close to Jesse, friends, family. We can share what we've found, talk about his dreams and fears. Get everyone to open up. He paused, glancing toward the door as though expecting someone to walk in. Then we can start a social media page. It'll be a platform for people to share their struggles and stories. Emma felt her heart race, a mix of excitement and apprehension blooming within her. That sounds incredible. But what if we're not ready for the backlash? What if the hurt is too much? His gaze softened, warmth spreading across his features. Emma, this is precisely why we have to do this. If we hide away Jesse's feelings, we deny others their chance to feel heard. We can't play it safe. This is bigger than us. She nodded slowly, swallowing back the swell of emotions. The fear of opening old wounds was daunting, but the hope of sparking change felt more powerful. Okay, let us do it. Stepping out of the shack, the sunlight hit them like a welcome embrace. The air felt lighter, almost electric with possibilities. It was time to take action, to give Jesse the voice he never had the chance to fully use. Days turned into weeks as Emma and Jesse's brother contacted friends and family. They watched the community bloom, stories spilling out like petals from a flower. Each shared memory and every personal struggle lifted a weight off Emma's heart, revealing a tapestry of connection woven from pain and resilience. The social media page exploded in activity. People began sharing their stories, their struggles laid bare for the world to see. With every like and comment, a little more of Jesse was resurrected into the present. Emma felt a growing sense of purpose, her grief transforming into advocacy with each post. Yet, there were shadows that lingered. Not everyone was supportive. They received harsh comments and backlashes, doubts foisted upon them by voices that thrived in ignorance. Each rude remark was like a punch to the gut, leaving Emma momentarily gasping. But it also fueled her fire. For every hurtful comment, there were 10 messages of gratitude and love from others who resonated with the mission. Those voices became a sanctuary for Emma's connections grew stronger. A night of remembrance was organized. It would be a gathering to celebrate Jesse and all those lost to the silent struggles of mental health. Emma worked hard to prepare, choreographing a space where healing could take shape. The anticipation of what it could bring filled her with both joy and trepidation. But within the whirlwind of life, doubts began creeping in. Shadows of her unexamined feelings about her own worth surfaced. What if they uncovered something about Jessie that shattered the hopeful image they were building together? What if the truth was darker than they imagined? Emma pushed the thought aside, focusing on the gathering ahead. The venue was adorned with photos of Jessie, laughter punctuating the air as people began to share their stories. But one question gnawed at her. What hidden pain might they still uncover? And more importantly, what if Jessie wasn't as free as she hoped he could be in death? As the night moved forward, a sense of impending revelation hung in the air. Emma could feel it, the energy shifting. What secrets did Jessie's notebook still hold? She clenched it tightly, unwilling to let go. Would the answers they sought free her from the cage of doubt or entrap her in regret? The night of remembrance unfolded like a kaleidoscope of emotions. Friends and family gathered, smiles mingling with tears as they shared anecdotes about Jessie. Each story painted a vibrant tapestry of who he had been, intricately woven with bits of laughter and sorrow. Emma stood surrounded, clutching Jessie's notebook tightly, as waves of camaraderie washed over her. But even among the warmth of shared love, a chill remained. The shadow of uncertainty whispered through her thoughts. Emma could feel the weight of Jessie's absence pressing heavily on her heart. How could she honor him without losing the vibrant image they had all painted together? As the gathering expanded, people began sharing their own stories, intimate glimpses into struggles and triumphs. Emma felt uplifted but also painfully aware that among the laughter, there were voices hidden in the shadows, waiting to emerge. Then it happened. A voice broke through the gentle hum of conversation, clear and trembling. Emma, a girl she barely recognized, stepped forward, eyes brimming with emotion. I need to talk to you. As the crowd quieted, Emma felt her heart race. What's on your mind? There's something about Jessie I never told you. The girl hesitated, glancing around nervously. I was his friend, but he confided in me. He was struggling more than any of us knew. He felt the pressure to be perfect, to be the alpha in his world. It was suffocating for him. A murmur rippled through the crowd, which held its breath as Emma's gut nodded. The truth swelled like a tidal wave, fierce and inevitable. That heaviness in Jessie's notebook hadn't merely been mere teenage angst. It was the manifestation of a battle fought in silence. Why didn't you tell anyone? Emma felt tears sting her eyes, searching for understanding. Because he asked me not to, the girl replied, her voice quaking. He wanted to prove he could handle everything alone. But watching him sink deeper into that darkness, I wished I could have reached out for help. Emma felt a jolt of pain, an ache echoing in her heart. That's what this is about. She cried, the words spilling out in urgency. We want to erase the stigma. We need stories like yours to show how real this struggle is. Jessie wanted the world to share their burdens, to break the silence. With that, another voice joined, then another. People began sharing their truths, fears, regrets, the pain that had been hidden under the guise of smiles. The air was charged, shared vulnerability igniting a fire in the room. Emma stood there, realizing they were all weaving their threads into a collective tapestry, a network of intertwined truths, strong enough to withstand the weight of grief. The more they spoke, the more clarity emerged. Jessie's story wasn't an isolated chapter. It was a part of a larger narrative, one that included everyone's struggles. That moment, Emma's heart swelled. Their pain gave birth to connection. It was catharsis painted in raw strokes of bravery. She interjected, this is what we need. Everyone here carries their own battles. All together we can change the way we see mental health. As the evening wore on, tears sparkled in eyes that once held judgment or doubt. Jessie's legacy was becoming their collective mission, a bridge to understanding. To honor him meant acknowledging not just his struggles but their own, creating space for healing that transcended fear. And when the final story was shared, there was a palpable shift that swept through the crowd, a kind of unifying energy that echoed hope. Emma felt a sense of relief wash over her. They had turned his absence into conversation, his silence into harmony, and the gathering became a beacon of hope for all who felt unheard. As the wild applause erupted in the room, Emma's heart sang inside her chest. Though grief would never truly vanish, courage had emerged as its ally, painting a new horizon, a world where no one felt abandoned by their dreams, where support ran deeper than the surface. That night marked the birth of something incredible. A movement, an insistence to share stories, to create safe spaces where people could be heard, not judged. Emma knew they had only just begun. The mural would be but a small piece of the legacy they would build together. With Jessie's voice guiding them, they would rise up and transform their pain into a community of healing. They were no longer just fragments of loss buried in silence. They were warriors of truth, unyielding in their love for a friend who exemplified resilience amidst chaos. As the last remnants of the night faded, dawning new potential lingered in Emma, an undeniable sense of purpose driving her forward. It was time to take this message beyond the confines of the park, to finally use Jessie's story to touch lives, one soul at a time. And just like that, Emma stood there surrounded by kindred spirits, her heart unwavering. Together they would reshape the narrative, standing strong as advocates for mental health, for understanding, acceptance, and above all love. You need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread this important message. Comment below your thoughts and feelings about the journey you followed. What did Emma's story mean to you? And for the love of transformation, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful message. Don't just watch, become part of the change. You need to show your support now.